Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at 2361, and then which is the right side unit as you face the duplex, and we have the left side unit. So we're set up more so in front of the right side 2361 unit. We've got a 4-inch ABS cleanout right in the concrete. It's going to be our point of access, and we're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is currently running. We're going to zero the foot counter out here at the base of the cleanout, and off we go. All right, so we're picking up a tie-in here at the top of the sewer line, which this type of setup, I haven't quite verified yet if these lines exit the building as one line or if they converge together. But being that we're transitioning here to 3034 PVC, that tie-in there is in the right spot for a test tee, which is basically identical to a clean-out access. It's just a diagnostic tool used when the line is first installed. It's where they put a test bladder in, pressure test the line, and then it's capped off after that. So being that it's as far away from the home as it is and right before the transition, my guess is that is just a test tee. So from the looks of it right now, I believe these lines converge together under the floor of the home. But I'll run backwards here in just a moment to see if we pick up any tie-ins going back. And that is the main there at about 69 feet. I just located the camera head successfully. Line terminates on Southeast Robin Lane. As you face the building from the road, the line ends up veering over to the left side edge. In fact, it looks like it may run down just to the left of the driveway, all said and done. Where the marking is in the road, lines up more with the dirt to the left of the driveway than the driveway itself. As we come back in here, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled, but I did notice, I just peered through a foundation vent a moment ago, the ones right out front here, and when you look to that left side unit, I'll try and verify it by looking in the crawl space, but it looks like there's a black ABS pipe running straight from that unit into the right side unit. So they appear to tie together under the floor and leave the house as one line. So thus far, very nice looking sewer line. It's got great slope and grade. Transition joint looks good. You do have some grease buildup in the line here, end to end. It's not an outrageous amount of grease buildup. Where it's at right now, it's something I would still consider cleaning. I'm going to recommend cleaning it, but it's just under. It's not at a nightmarish level. The kind of grease buildup you have right here is the kind that would exacerbate something that's already getting very close to blocking the line and or is going to block the line. And what that grease buildup does, it acts like glue, creates for sticky conditions. So, you know, for instance, a toilet paper, balled up toilet paper blockage that might break loose after, let's say, 5 to 10 feet of pipe fill up behind it. When you have that sticky conditions, that same blockage can potentially withstand, you know, more like, let's say, 20 or 30 feet building up behind it before the head pressure breaks things loose, if ever. Depends on how thick the grease is. So it's more. It just makes it more likely that your run-of-the-mill stuff that generally will break loose on its own naturally won't, and or it'll require a significant amount of head pressure beyond normal to break it loose. So when you start filling up that much pipe, it's just more likely you're gonna end up with water coming up to a fixture before something breaks loose. So I'll recommend cleaning on it. And that Y-end right there, that is likely the neighboring unit tying in here. Because it's coming in the direction it is, it makes far more sense for that to be from the neighbor unit than for this unit. We're going to do a quick toilet flush here. We'll see what ties in there. And, you know, it's possible they've tied. Okay, yeah. So that water you can see is coming from back in here. So, and this is where the 3-inch main line is. And that is the frontmost, bottommost toilet of the house. And that's coming in all the way back here in this realm. Whereas that tie-in you pick up here towards the front of the house, very front, this is what's lining up with what I'm seeing in the crawl space. That Y-end right there. You can also tell by the substance coming off it, the staining. You have grease stains going down the sidewall of the pipe. Whereas you shouldn't be seeing that on this particular line here for the right side unit until you likely get toward the very back end of the house. And we do have a belly. Oh, I'm actually kind of glad I went back in here. I normally don't go this far back into the home. But where you're going to end up picking grease buildup on this unit in particular is going to be towards the very rear end of the house where the kitchen is. Kitchen's at the back of the house, right? Or,
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So anyway, all those things added up. This is looking like you've got 2 lines coming together under the crawl. I am going to highly recommend you clean this thing. You got some very, very thick buildup coming back into here.
What location is that at?
That's toward the back. All right, so going back into the home here, that belly dissipates off at about 23 feet. The line here is close, if not submerged. You've got about 2, maybe as much as 3 inches of standing water in that part of the line there. And a lot of times, fixing standing water in a crawl space, it's not always the case. If someone got their math wrong and just simply put the incorrect grade on things, but a lot of times it is related to the strapping that supports the pipe. It can stretch over time, and they're like, I mean, you can get a couple different kinds, but some of them are like giant zip ties, where you just have to either pop the strap out, pull it up higher and nail it in place, and or ratchet the strap down a little more to put a better angle on it. But that is a belly there. I've been doing this 13 years. I've cambered almost 25,000 sewer lines at this point. I've done a lot of drain cleaning, and less repairs, but I've been involved in plenty of it. Bellies, by and large, do not scare me a whole lot, especially on the exterior of the home. On the interior of the house, they are more likely to lead to a problem because of the proximity they are to fixtures. When you get a blockage inside the home, for instance, that backup can happen much faster because you don't have as much leeway to fill up pipe, which often creates head pressure, going back to the blockage metaphor or scenario I was talking about earlier. When you get a blockage 40 feet out from your home made of toilet paper, it's highly unlikely it's ever going to result in anything because the head pressure of filling up all that pipe breaks things loose in a lot of cases. When you're inside the home like that, if you've got a fixture tying in within a few feet of that area and you get a blockage, the backup can happen much quicker, and you often aren't developing enough head pressure to actually break things loose on their own. So that is a belly I'm going to recommend a repair on. It's back inside the crawl space, so it's not one I can locate and put markings down for, but I do recommend that. I do highly recommend the line be cleaned, especially the interior. The interior has a lot more buildup in it than the outside does. The outside is fairly marginal. You could tell by when I was talking earlier, not something that's terribly concerning unless you're flushing big stuff down the line. The interior of the home, you've got places in there where the buildup's an inch thick. And a bit of that's going to be related to the belly. It's restricting the flow. And when you've got that much standing water, anything coming through there is going to get hung up in it. There's no chance anything's going to shoot through that spot in one go. So, and it will cause the line to struggle to drain. It'll cause the pipe to start filling up with water, and it causes stuff to get deposited in places it shouldn't. So, at the very least, I would recommend a jet to clear out the entire interior and exterior main line, especially the main trunk line for this half of the building here. That's the main beast. You likely are going to have some grease buildup going back into the other unit, but it's not going to be... It's not as detrimental to flow in that if this particular line blocks, it can affect both units, where the other one, if it has buildup in it, it's only going to affect that unit. So I'm less concerned about that end of things. And I don't really have a direct access point to scope that, not without potentially yanking a toilet or something like that. So anyway, not so concerned about that half of the building. After any repairs and or drain cleaning is completed, make sure a rescope is performed to check the work and show it to you. If you end up doing both the belly correction and the cleaning, ideally you just do it in one go, clean it, correct the belly, and then rescope it. You know, and I don't, if you can adjust that thing to the point where you can get most of the standing water out of it, I don't necessarily want to see someone completely hacking every piece of plumbing in here apart to adjust grade. But if you can get most of the standing water out of there, that would be meaningful still. But ideally, you get all of it out, as you've got a almost fully submerged line there, if not entirely. You've got at least 2 inches at its worst point, and that's in 3-inch pipe at that point. It may exceed over that. Once it gets to a certain point, it's hard to tell, especially once you have enough buildup in there. I just can't see through the water to the top of the pipe. Otherwise, everything else we scoped, especially the exterior, looks fantastic. The interior, nothing's broken. It's just settled. So nothing's broken that way. As the line currently sits, it is functioning, but it is draining slower than it should due to the standing water and the buildup in the line. You'll have improved functionality after cleaning, and you'll have much improved flow and functionality after both cleaning and the belly are corrected.